Dream is someone who needs no introduction. He's one of the largest creators on the platform with 24 million subscribers producing daily Minecraft content. However, he has been subject to multiple controversies over the past year, everything ranging from cheating on the speedrun to... wait. Drugs. Not many people can apologize for something that some people think is racist, only for the apology to sound significantly more racist. That takes talent. However, I'm not here to talk about that. That's not my field. That's just not touching that shit with a 10-foot pole. However, amongst all of his controversies, a few people have had issues with his business practices, starting with the announcement of his merchandise. This is our first point of contention. Dream's detractors are fast to point out most of his merch is very simplistic is the word I'll use. However, most of the people who've been commenting on that don't really understand the means of production and the cost of production, and that's where I come in. In my personal career, I've had a lot of experience with production, manufacturing, all that kind of junk. I've also have a lot of experience with importing, product design, some other third thing I can't think of at the moment, but that's neither here or there, so this will be our first point of conversation. So I'm going to be walking you through the process of production, so that way I can give you the rough ballpark estimate of how much his cost of production is, as well as the markup percentage. But again, I must emphasize the fact that this is all estimates. I am taking an estimated, educated guess of how much he's actually spending and how much he is earning from these products. So I'm going to be walking you through the general process of producing these product lines. And to simplify this I'll be using the website called Alibaba. And for those of you who don't know, Alibaba is the sister site to AliExpress, which is basically a super cheap Amazon. You buy a product in Japan, you have it customized, or it can be some sort of electronic, and you bring it into the United States for super cheap, but it takes a while to get here. So for this video, we're going to be using Dream's hoodie as an example of our article of merchandise. When this was initially launched, they were about $50 per article. However, since then they have been marked down to $40. And as we can see, the hoodies on Alibaba are extremely inexpensive. Starting price ranges from $5 all the way up to $15. And when you buy these hoodies, you do have the option of personalizing the customized logo, design, all of the jazz. So let's be fair and say that he spends about $10 per hoodie. He can buy them at these prices because he is buying them in bulk. The more you buy, the more money you save for each article. So some people might be looking at these prices and what I've just told you and think, oh, Dream is selling us $5, $10 hoodies for $40, $50. What's going on? That he's scamming us. But that's not exactly how this works. Because you're buying so many different articles all at the same time, it takes a lot of effort to actually bring that into the United States. And because of that, you have to go to an importing broker to bring it in. And basically an importing broker is just somebody who coordinates with the manufacturers and with all the people in the shipping process, and then they bring it to your warehouse once it gets to America. The rates will vary depending on which broker you go to, but considering his location in LA, let's say it's going to be a 30% markup to bring it to the United States plus the shipping costs. Now, speaking of the warehouse, that's the next factor that goes into the pricing. Now, personally, I never paid more than $1,500 a month for a warehouse, but because of his location in LA, which real estate is going to cost more, and the potential of him having a mortgage on the warehouse, let's say he pays close to about $3,000 every month to keep this warehouse going. Now, how does this factor into the pricing of his merchandise? Well, this is where we start to get a little dicey because it'll change every month depending on how much merch they sell that month. I said month twice. But let's make an educated guess and say on average he sells about 10,000 articles every month. And from there, you just simply divide 3,000 by how many things that they have sold that month. So going by the assumption of at least 10,000 every month, that's an additional 30 cents per merchandise item. Next, we're going to be talking about labeling and boxing. Now, this is where it gets a little dicey because it's going to vary depending on the order. If someone buys a lot in one order, they're going to be saving a bit of money per that order. But again, These are general estimates, it's not an exact science, especially because I don't fully know his personal process. Typically with these merchandise ventures, they don't really spend more than 3 cents per bag that they ship it out of. However, in my research, I noticed that he actually has customized, personalized shipping material. Now, I've actually never seen this anywhere. I was rather taken aback when I first saw this, but I don't know how much that's going to increase the pricing, so let's be very generous and say that it bumps it up from 3 cents to 30 cents. Next, you have to consider the cost of printing the shipping label. Now, that's going to be rounding this entire thing up to $1 per shipment. Now, note, I will not be adding the cost of the printing machine used for printing shipping labels. That's considered a business investment and should not be factored into the final pricing. It'd be really silly if you did. Next up is how much he's paying his employees, how many employees he has to do the job, and how many hours they're working, how does that all fit into the fuck? In my personal experience in boxing and shipping items, as well as being in charge of these tasks, I believe that a group of 3 people can box around 40 orders an hour. Admittedly, this is a bit of a lowball, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. If he's paying his employees $15 an hour, that distributes to about 38 cents rounded up per employee that they have per article. So that times 3, since I believe that he has at least 3 people on the job producing these, not producing, sending them out, that would be about $1.14 added onto the cost. Again, this is going off the assumption that these people aren't packaging multiple items in one order, thus really cutting down the timing. Now, as for shipping, he doesn't pay for that. So the total cost, or my estimate cost, is about $15.44 per article he produces of these hoodies. But that's not the entire story, because Shopify, which is the service he uses to sell, takes an additional cut. So the real payout is going to be closer to $17.90. This, for the market price, is about a 223% markup from what he initially spent on making this product. And that is very reasonable, actually. When you're a newer company that wants to expand and grow over time, you need a larger markup than normal to cover future costs. So, if this makes sense, if this is actually fair pricing, why did this become a controversy? Well, 1, Twitter. Secondly, because of the simplistic design. If we were to compare it to another YouTuber who has a large child audience, The Game Theorist, you'd see that they have almost identical pricing. However, their graphic designs are a lot more distinct and a lot more complicated, and they pop out a lot more as opposed to a singular smiley face on a blank color drop. And the cost of production for a more complex graphic is surprisingly minuscule. There isn't going to be much of a way to increase the profit off of something that only increases the price by like 5-10 cents. So knowing that, why is the water bottle so expensive? I've seen that exact same bottle on AliExpress for $3! Well, let me explain. It's a common business practice to have certain products have a significantly higher markup cost when they cost less to produce. This practice is most commonly used when a business is either selling something that takes literal pennies to produce or when investors are involved. It's just weird seeing it applied in this fashion. So that covers it mostly for the merchandising pricing. Merchandising pricing, that rhymes. And I wanna die. So that covers it for the pricing. Personally, I actually don't think it's that outrageous, though there are a couple decisions here and there that genuinely I can't really get behind personally. Now, moving on to the next controversy. Oh, joy of joy. Now, this still has to do with his merch, admittedly, but it has to do with his Gay Pride Month merch. Now, during the month of June, Dream sold a limited edition Pride Month merch with the promise of donating the profits to charity. Sounds great, right? Well, here's the problem. He decided to donate 10% of profit and keep the rest. Okay, so let me break down exactly what he said. It's important to note that he said he would keep 10% of profits, not revenue. This means he'd be donating 10% after covering his cost of production. So if you were to buy this $25 t-shirt, he's not donating $2.50. He's donating $1 per article. And he's keeping the rest. If he were just merely covering the cost of production and donated the rest, that would be fine. That's what Scott the Woz does with all of his merch. However, he is outright profiting off of Gay Pride Month. Even if it were best case scenario and he misspoke, he's still only donating $2.50 per shirt. That's just kind of scummy to me, personally. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about that. Maybe you don't care, and that's fine. That's justified. Just in my personal opinion, I think that's a bit scummy. And while this doesn't paint him in a very good light, it looks even worse when you combine it with the fact that he promised all revenue from his regular streams throughout the month of June would be donated to an LGBTQ charity, which he proceeds to go from regular streaming to not at all until the very last day of June, after everyone on Twitter started memeing about the fact he didn't stream. And so you can see how these two things together don't look very good on his end. And I would like to clarify, I am not calling him homophobic. All I'm doing is pointing out why this controversy got the traction it did. Because it's funny as shit. However, there is something that actually does bother me. I mean, if he actually was homophobic, that would bother me too, but that's besides the point, okay? And it all goes back to the fact is, that is what the point of the mask is. I'm gonna shoot myself. So yes, this actually does have to do with the music video, the oh so infamous music video that is Mask. So what is it? You know, like, what could be really so bad that could be worse than him potentially doing things that look homophobic? I'm not calling him homophobic. You're not getting me on that charges. No, no, no. I know my fucking rights, allegedly, but that's not me. Gotcha, bitch. But this is actually a rather serious topic. And it genuinely, if true, it genuinely really bothers me, like, a lot. Now, this music video was heavily criticized for the way it looked. It looked really rough, admittedly. And, well, yeah, that's pretty bad. What's even worse is the reason why it looked like that. And that's because he put his animators, allegedly, on crunch time. Now, for those of you who don't know what crunch time is, it's forcing your team to work overtime with no additional compensation. So instead of working a normal 8-hour healthy work schedule, you'd often be pushed to 12, 16 every day without additional pay. A few people from the animation team came out and talked about this crunch time, one of which being Brady J. Hardy. Animator and 3D modelist Brady J. Hardy came forth talking about his personal experience because he and the team behind I don't know how to pronounce that, Jesus Christ. Fry Productions, I don't know if that's right either. Productions were harassed for their work. They stated that the reason why this video didn't live up to their normal standards were because, one, they've only animated Minecraft models before, and this was a style that they just weren't accustomed to, and two, they were only given a few weeks to make the video. And something that's just absolutely mind-blowing to me is the fact that he didn't pay them until after the video was finished, and the payment was still pending by the time it was published. Now, I've reached out to both Dream and the animators for more information about these allegations, but neither replied, so. Now, it's important to take this with a grain of salt, because these are just allegations, and there really isn't any concrete proof suggesting that this actually did happen. But I also want to point out that they don't have much to gain from lying about this, and a lot to lose. As freelancers, they're much better off sucking up to Dream, you know, one of the biggest customers they could possibly get. And if they were to lose that connection, that's a lot of clout and a lot of money you're forfeiting. But if it were true, then why? Why couldn't he just wait a week or two for them to have more time to more comfortably work on this project? Well, there actually might be an answer to that. The music video came out shortly after he admitted to cheating on the speedrun, and if I were to guess, I would say he was trying to move the conversation from the speedrun to his next artistic adventure. I spelled autistic in the script. It didn't really work out in the way he had hoped. But that's about all I have to say, and this video isn't about starting a controversy, it's about starting a conversation. I want to know what you, the viewers, think of the information I've given you today. Did I leave anything out? Did I get anything wrong? Let me know in the comments below, and I should go.